Hey, it's Saturday, June 1st, and this is episode 3, season 3 of
The Slayers of Boredom Podcast.
Oh.
Yeah, put on a little chapstick there.
Yeah, well.
Because my lips are dry, not because I'm going to be, slobbing some stupid, indicted, convicted buffoon's knob, like a lot of people out there.
Did you plan that?
No, I was thinking about it as I was putting the chapstick on. Is that a rough way to start? I mean, it is kind of in your face. I'm sorry.
It's all right, though, because you saw the amount they donated, right?
Oh, it's crazy. Well, I mean, there's like I said, 7 or 8 individuals that basically said that they're just not going to do their job, stall Congress because of,
Yeah. Well, Donald Trump was
found guilty.
Found guilty on all 34 counts. That's like the biggest news out there. It honestly wasn't what the plan was for the cast today, but it's just so
you just got to talk about. I mean, it's the biggest news out there, at least in this country. I mean, we can put it on pause now and catch up for a minute because
I just got to say that
episode 3. It's been a while.
It has been, but he was found guilty, and his supporters. It was a grassroots donation campaign, like all small donations, 35 million. It's one of the largest grassroots campaigns that have ever occurred after he was convicted of paying off a porn star.
He's swindling you people. And he's swindling the people that work for him.
Yeah, it's insane.
That Alina, I can't even say her, I don't know how to say her last, his one lawyer, she's not going to get paid. At least not everything she's going to be due.
No.
I mean, whatever. Let's catch up quick.
I know. Sorry.
Well, I guess this is kind of on the same subject. Do you want to just dive right into the film Civil War quick and what we thought of it? Because it'll be an interesting
I do. Because we do cover some what we've been enjoying lately in the entertainment industry usually.
Yeah.
And
always nice.
And it has been a while, and we apologize, but life happens. We're both newly employed.
Yes, that's right. I got a job. Not telling you where because that's none of your damn business, but
it's a shift into employment. Yeah. So
well, I'm filing tomorrow for, last week because I wasn't, just got back from the beach or whatever, wasn't employed. I actually start my new job Monday. And this coming week, my first week of work would have been the last week on my unemployment before I would have had to start a whole new claim and go through that process. Yeah. That's like on the bug's nuts, man.
That's
sure.
The bug's nuts.
I like that one. Anyways.
So congratulations.
Congrats to you too, man. I mean, you had another job, but you just found a better one.
Yeah, it's and it makes me very happy. So life is back to normal, and good Lord, what a goddamn ride. Not envious if you're out there, but I can tell you that it does, happen. You can find something to stabilize yourself. Hopefully, just keep plugging away. Use AI. Do the fucking resume shit.
Oh God. But anyways, so Civil War. What'd you think?
I loved it. This is the movie Civil War.
Not Captain America Civil War, like Civil War that just came out, A24 Productions.
Yeah, I would have a completely different
Andrew Garland, I believe,
opinion of that one. This Civil War I loved it. Now, I don't know. I feel like I love entertainment in general. So all I wanted was to go in and have like a compelling story that kind of showed where the future could go. And I thought that the angle they took from the press, we still only got any information from the press. That just felt awesome in a weird way. And then to have questions, without giving anything away really, at one point they're like, are you part of the WF? And maybe I missed something, but I was like, the WF, I don't know what that is. I'm assuming these are...
it's Western forces.
Well, yeah. But you only find that out later when they're traveling under an awning that says Western forces, militia front or something like that. And it was those kind of things where you were never given a damn thing. And I loved it. It just kept me into it. Wow, there's pretty vicious gore, great fight scenes, great choreography, as you were saying. Well, you loved the shootouts and the realistic aspects of it.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I'm not like a crazy gun advocate, but I am an action junkie. And, I still appreciate what it takes to...
portray. Really.
I appreciate what it takes from a human being to go through, survive, and experience, like a firefight. Like if you're in the military, I still respect you. Like, regard. I mean, like, I don't necessarily agree what you're being forced to fight for in a lot of times, but I respect the fact that you put your life on the line, and to be trained to go through something like that, it's fascinating to me. So the closest thing I'm going to ever get to it, being somebody who, has no desire to be in a firefight at all, but, kind of gets off on the action part of it, is in a movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought that was well done. I mean, especially at the end, that's like when the big action, like in the last 20 minutes, it's pretty intense. I thought it could have been a lot more from the action junkie side. Like, I wish there would have been a little bit more than that, but I do appreciate, all the acting was really good. And I thought that they did a good, like you said, from the perspective of the press, from, Kirsten Dunst and, what's his name? Can't even think of it. The guy
I didn't recognize him.
The guy that played, he's the guy that played frickin' the drugged in. Oh my gosh, I can't think of anything right now. I'm drawing a frickin' blank.
None of it's gonna fucking resonate with me. I'm not a person that cares about the actors or the directors and shit.
It was good. It basically, there's the Western forces of like California and Texas, and there's the Florida Alliance. So those entities are basically up against the president, who controls, like, they're seceding parts of the country, which is strange to have California and Texas, like, I don't know, whatever. In Florida, it's whatever. And then they're against like this tyrannical president who's on his third term, and, he like disbanded the FBI and all this stuff. And like, if you go into DC, press is shot on sight and stuff like that. Like a total like tyrant dictator. And like, they never mention, like, I don't know, they leave some things vague, but it's pretty obvious, I think, who is, who they're trying to portray. Like, or I would say the type of future they're trying to lay out, sort of based on current events here in reality.
Yeah, so what Dane's trying to say is, like, is it an analogy of what the future could be? Or is it just completely fictitious? And the directors say, and the critics say, like, no, it's supposed to be very open, like there's no definitive sides.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah, because you can feel like there's obviously this angry side that hates China, and then there's this other side of compassionate press, understanding people, and then the president, though, is really only portrayed through kind of radio broadcasts, and those are even vague, just saying I want the other side to lay their arms down and then things can move forward, kind of deal. So you really don't know, but you just feel like, why would the press be able to push forward with this group towards the president, kind of in like, that's the enemy, when if the president's on their side, that wouldn't make any sense. So you're kind of like, all right, well, we're against the president, and then when you get in there, I don't know, it's the red tie. It feels very much so.
Yeah, I mean, there are elements of this president played by Nick Offerman in Civil War that, again, someone who hates the press, someone who says they're going to be president for life, being on their third term, somebody who disbands the FBI, stuff like that. Again, hates China, stuff like that, that are very emulative of, fucking Trump's buffoonery and bullshit, know? So it's hard for me. Like, I don't see a disconnect there. I do feel like that was sort of deliberate. The way that they sort of switch things up a bit, again, like I said, is having Florida and Texas be two states that would go out against, when clearly their governments are pretty much aligned with Trump, between Abbott and DeSantis. It's just, they're both sycophants. And also them being, I was rooting for the Western forces and the Florida Alliance, because I could tell what type of president Nick Offerman was. Like, this guy's insane. Yeah. But at the same time, I was rooting for states that seceded, which again is also more of like, especially in Texas, they're like, oh, we're just going to secede. And it's just like, I mean, honestly, they are one of the few red states that do give back more federal money than they earn. But I'm guessing that's mainly for like offshore oil and stuff like that, probably cattle and whatnot. But again,
I think it gives the directors the plausible deniability. It's like, we made Florida and Texas the antithesis to this president.
They don't use terms like "make America great again." They don't do anything blatant like that at all.
There's no red hats.
It's like the only time where I was confused, where I didn't know who was in that first little firefight. Like the first night they spend together and they see that firefight taking place in the darkness over the hills, and they're like, we're gonna go see what's going on. And then it just quick cuts to that scene the next morning when they're in that firefight with the dudes in the Hawaiian shirts. I didn't know who was who there.
Yeah, well,
You know
they
what
were
I
on
mean?
the side with the Hawaiian shirts, but the Hawaiian shirts usually signify the Boogaloo Boys. You know?
Sure. Okay, so there you go.
So, like, why would you be on the side with the Boogaloo Boys?
I'm just realizing that now. You're right.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, yeah. Who knows? So it's. I mean, who knows? There could be.
Well, I think that's why that it left that kind of. It gave them the right to say it isn't a hit piece on the right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's enough back and forth here that keeps you confused and was supposed to keep you confused because it could be either way. But if you really break it down, like, if today, you know, reality's future, the press, which side supports the press? The Democrats, you know, would be with the Democrat or the left or the, you know, left-leaning side. And then the president who wants 3 terms and all this dictator-esque stuff would be the right. And so I think you can make your own, you know, decisions there on how it would really, what this movie is about. But they still didn't want to be blatant. They could have made it obvious, you know, Trump flags flying. Or,
when you
know,
think about it, too.
Nick Offerman's face instead of Trump's. But that would have been way more blatant.
Sure.
They didn't do things like that.
They didn't. I would also, again, this doesn't really give much away, but I would sort of talk about the fact that when they are sort of storming DC and the White House, again, I won't go too deep into it, but I mean, there's a lot of unsavory stuff that the military does, you know, the Western forces do, which, again, this press group of Kirsten Dunst and that younger girl and the guy's name, I can't remember, you know, like they are attached to this group storming the White House. And as they're going in there, I mean, there's some pretty indiscriminate stuff that happens. So it's just like, you know, what side is this? You know, but again, it's
because of the violence.
But again, but then again, like taking down a tyrant, like, which is how the whole movie I'm looking at this president as, you know what I mean? Like, and going in there and trying to get him, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. It's
to me, it felt like like a wit's end kind of thing, you know, where if this whole scenario were Trump and everything, that he got to the point of creating a civil war scenario where he's just fucking radio broadcasting. It's like, if you get in there, just murder. Yeah. You know, like, this is done. We're done communicating with this fucking idiot. Let's do it. So that's why it felt aggressive.
They mentioned several times throughout the movie, it's just like, you know, kill order. Like, we're not capturing them. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's
But I liked when they met up with the those sniper dudes in the streets. They were kind of like, you know, already laying there, one dude scoping.
You mean out in the country?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like outside of like a Christmas. It was eerie. It was like a Christmas display thing, playing that eerie music, and
well, it looked like either like an asylum of some sorts or just a billionaire's home kind of deal. And there was shots coming from it, so multiple windows, almost castle-esque, and this sniper duo, you know, the spotter and the sniper himself are just hidden right there in the middle of all this Christmas stuff that the rich person would have put at the edge of their property, whatever. So it just creates this really unique environment for a sniper to be hidden in. And when our main characters are asking, you know, like, like, who are you shooting at? He was like, the guy shooting at me. Well, who is it? Well, he shot at me. You know, like, and you know, the sympathetic, empathetic side was saying, like, how do you know you're not on his side? Blah, blah, blah. But these guys were just so deprogrammed to be like, humanity's shit. This guy shot at me. We just shoot back. That's what we do now.
Yeah, and I think that was, and it's Alex Garland, sorry, I misspoke and called him Andrew, but I think that's what he was going for, in that this is the type of thing that would happen in the Civil War. Like, you don't know who you're fighting. And again, I think they broke it down to something as bleak as, like, he's trying to kill me, so I'm trying to kill him.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean? I think he calls the one dude retarded or whatever. He's like, oh, I get it. You're retarded. You don't seem to understand that I'm saying that this guy's trying to kill me, so I'm trying to kill him. Like, yeah. But I think that was the important point that Garland was trying to make, basically, is that, I mean, when things break down like that, I mean, they even took that away when they went into, and this doesn't give much away either, but they took it away when they got into that town that was like serene, you know, and you're like, oh, wow, this hasn't really been affected. But then the last scene before they leave, there's snipers on the frickin' rooftop. So it's just like, they're aware, like, you know, it's still affecting them in a certain way. Because, I mean, that could give you all kinds of weird mental. I mean, if we were just walking around in like Harrisburg and there's just snipers all over the rooftops. I saw them when Barack Obama came back in the day. I mean, you saw them up there. They were everywhere. You know what I mean? It was before he was president, but again, any type of like high tier personality, there's going to be security. But again, the movie was good. I don't.
You didn't like it as much as I did.
No, not as much. Again, the action junkie, I wanted a little bit more, but you know what? That shouldn't really. I don't think that's cause for.
The perspective is almost like a found footage film. Like it literally follows around this group of photographers, really, and the journalists, because the one dude wants to interview the president, but it shows their slice of life in this whole futuristic apocalypse, and that's all you get. And so, like, I think some people going into Civil War were expecting to see the factions, know the intricacies of their hierarchy, maybe, you know, that kind of deal. You get none of that. You barely even know what the factions' sides are, you know? Really, you kind of have to interpret that yourself through them. That to me, I love it because I was telling you before the cast, I consume so much entertainment that like I want to see things from unique perspectives anymore. That full frontal war, you know, like Two Towers, you know, where like the whole movie's a war. I do love that, but in the same regard, it's been done multiple times. Like, so I see it again in a Civil War theme. That's great, and I'd love it. But to see it from the press perspective, and it made it neat. So while they're doing their like sieges and shit, where they're actually with the gunmen, there's just moments in the film where it's just shots, you know, like cool photography shots that'll just flash on the screen of you know, so like a guy getting shot in the head would be stilled for a second. And
they did a lot of that.
It adds cool aspects. I just really liked it.
It's probably Alex Garland's like homage to, you know, like journalism's another art form. You know what I mean? So again, and I think that is like, I mean, props to anybody that's going to go there and film all of it like in real time. Like that is the truth at that point. You know, like it's just
it's crazy watching. You know, they're on D-Day, right?
Yeah,
they're just dudes with cameras running up in that. That's just insane.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name. There was a famous guy that survived the whole war doing that.
Was it his release tapes like colorized?
You've probably seen it.
I have.
History Channel or something like that.
I'm so close to his name.
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
But anyway, so enough about Civil War. I mean, anything else you want to? I wish I can't remember. I wish I could remember the dude's name. He's been in a lot of movies. Yeah, he played freaking. Gosh, who's the guy that was down in Colombia, Medellin, the drug dealer, right? It's like so famous, the most famous, Pablo Escobar. He played him in Narcos, or Narcs, or whatever. Yeah,
I guess it was. I recognized him.
I guess it was Narcos and Netflix. Is that what I'm thinking of? Narcos.
I think so. I mean, it makes sense. I remember him as the Escobar. It had to be Narcos. But either way. I don't really care about that kind of stuff. You know,
I usually pride myself on knowing actors' names, but
you pull up your IMDb a lot while you're watching shit.
Yeah, I do. I do. So does my wife.
My wife does,
especially with we watch. I mean, you know, we have two young kids, so we're always watching Disney stuff and animated things. So we're like, oh, whose voice is that? And we always got to confirm it. A lot of Bluey stuff.
That would make sense. That'd be fun to try and do. My wife will look up like what they were in, what else they were in. She likes to see, oh, they were in that, they were in that, they were in that. I'm like, yeah, okay, that is kind of where I remember the face. I like when they're super old and I can still see it somehow, you know, and I'm like, holy shit, that's the child from, you know what I mean? Like, and that's fun for me. But no, normally I don't really care about actors. And like I was saying earlier, the directors, it's hard for me to keep them all straight, so I just don't.
I mean, the amount of idolatry that goes on in this country, we probably shouldn't care about actors, but
yeah,
gotta see what's going on, TMZ. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What did he do now? Fucking asshole. God, that guy sucks.
That story, I'm not even fully up on, but
he's a bad fucking dude, man, and he needs to go to prison for the rest of his life.
I don't deny that. Yeah. I know enough to say that's true.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit. But anyways, back to another piece of shit. 34 felonies, man.
Yep.
And found guilty.
Did you see that coming?
No, I didn't.
I didn't see it coming.
And you know, somebody, again, I've been reading a lot about it, much to the chagrin of my wife, the past few days since we found out. But somebody brought up just interesting, simple points. Like, you know, you have 12 jurors and they're like, you can't even get 12 people to agree on where to go to dinner. You know what I mean? Like the fact, and again, a jury of his peers, they were chosen by Trump's team. They were agreed to by the prosecution and the defense. You know what I mean? And people they continue to harp on the like, you know, Biden DOJ and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, well, no, dude, this is a state thing. Like this has nothing to do with any of that. Like, yeah, sure. Alvin Bragg brought the charges. You know what I mean? Obviously he thought there was enough to do it and the juries agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, and another favorite argument, and I'm all for it. Everyone's like, well, what about Obama? What about Clinton? What about every other fucking president? Every president's a war criminal. You want to prosecute them all? I really don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I think that would help reset everything in this country. Presidents should be above reproach. And again, I know they have teams, directors of CIAs that have their drone programs and shit like that, the stuff they have to sign on. There's other nefarious people in our government committing atrocities and war crimes through some various means all over the world. It has been happening, especially South America, like my gosh, as back in the day. So again, like no president is innocent. Like they've all got blood on their hands.
Yeah.
But the word decorum is what I think of the most. Like I don't want to sound like a super champion for this country in the way that we have to choose our presidents and the way it works, but at least like every president besides Trump in some way has been able to at least speak and ostensibly be calm, be collected. You know what I mean? In a sense, sort of just give you hope and reassurance in a way, whether it being through some patriotic means, on Memorial Day, you can watch that and be like, you know what? Again, like I said, I don't agree with all the wars they've been forced to fight in, but Memorial Day, we recognize people that died in the line of duty in service to our country in some military campaign somewhere. Our veterans, our military veterans, we owe that to them.
Yeah.
And every president, even Bush, I didn't like the guy. Reagan didn't like the guy, especially trickle-down economics, you freaking asshole.
Yeah.
But they can give you that warm and fuzzy feeling in a good way. And what does Trump do every time? He makes it about himself.
Yeah.
His stupid ass son Eric was just like, oh, this, happy Memorial Day to a family that sacrificed everything. It's like, fuck you. Like you are so tone deaf. It's unbelievable to me. And so that's what it comes down to. Every president can be prosecuted for various amounts of crimes, in my opinion, but Trump he's rude, he's vile, he's flippant, he's a moron. He riles up his base. He's a racist. And again, I know other presidents but he blatantly, you know what I mean? Like there is such a far cry. I mean, you could see some and maybe get a little bit closer. Like if Nixon spoke the way he spoke, even though he taped everything,
phone.
exactly,
Yeah.
you'd be like, whoa, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Total racist asshole.
Yeah.
Piece of fucking shit. And the closest one that came to being prosecuted as well, but he was smart and he resigned. But for the most part, there was such a far cry between modern presidents and Donald Trump, and that's what differentiates him. And I still can't believe that there are so many, immoral people that support this man. Like, if you want to be a Republican, whatever, if you have conservative values, that's fine. But come on, man.
It's insane.
It blows my mind. And this verdict, I feel like they're like, this is going to make him a martyr. It's going to make him even more popular. And it will for some time. It'll die off. But it has been like really in your face since this happened.
The people I still, communicate with that are Trump supporters, I asked them, and no one, was like, wow, I didn't expect that in like a nuanced approach to the conversation. It was all, they've been trying to get him forever. It's like, ugh, okay, whatever. It's right in front of your fucking face. Like I just sent back like, oh, it really seems like he'd be the type of person that would pay off a porn star that he cheated on his wife with before a 2016 election to make sure he doesn't mess up his women vote.
She was pregnant with Barron at the time when this happened too.
Yeah, and it's just like, if you just cut and dry that little mini short story about a billionaire, then it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then how did he do it? Oh, illegally. Through fraudulent means. Well, that's jail time more than likely. Or, fines. It's guilty verdicts. So when I saw guilty, I was like, holy shit, they did it. It wasn't like, he's guilty, It was like, they fucking actually did it.
I mean, I wasn't expecting 34 counts, but
I did. I
thought
because he doesn't even try to hide it.
Yeah.
He admits it and says other people do it. He uses whataboutism as a defense in court. You can't do it. It's like whataboutism with us. Like what? Yeah. And he just said, prosecute them all. I wouldn't give a shit. We are prosecuting Menendez. Did he get funding when he got found guilty? No. What's a Quasar or whatever that other guy's name is? He's just another corrupt Democrat, and he's being prosecuted right now, or it just ended. And same deal. No one comes to his aid. We're all like, great, fucking get him out. Prosecute them all. And
I mean, seriously, yeah. Like, do we not want an honest government? I'm not sitting here and telling you that, everybody on the left, because I happen to be a more left-leaning independent, that they're all just saints and everything. It's like, no, I don't. People in Congress, especially don't even get me started on the Supreme Court. People on the Supreme Court, above all, should be completely above reproach.
they've lost that. They've lost that.
Like, even back with the Kavanaugh thing, when people were, just like, oh, you can't judge him for something he did in college or high school or whatever. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, if the guy wants to even end up being the CEO of a company or, wants to, have some job somewhere, yeah, something stupid he did as a kid, sure. But he's Supreme Court justice.
That's the highest.
Exactly.
Court of the
These
land.
people should be above reproach.
Yeah.
And I at least would expect our legislative body to be the same. But again, money corrupts. We don't need to go into it. We all know how Citizens United, all this stuff makes it so that our legislators are, they're in the pocket. They're shills for corporations on the left and the right.
Yeah.
But Trump is he's just so, Trump and his base and like MAGA, whatever, it's insane. And it's gotten to the point where I think there were 7 or 8 Republicans that said that they're not doing shit now. You're like, until this is overturned, we're not doing anything. We're not doing our jobs.
These are our elected officials that have a job to do to keep our country running as efficiently as they possibly can. Even though that's a joke, I know they still got to pass some shit, to keep the government running, which keeps government employees paid, all of that shit. And they're just saying, you know what, we're gonna not do that because of a person that has no ties to government right now except for ex-presidency is found guilty of 34 counts. In this, and they coined the fucking term lawfare, and like it's just being pushed around. You see it in interviews all the time. People being like the lawfare out there, and that's a scary term. It's diminishing the word law was something like a rule of law felt strong. You start calling something lawfare, now it's law being used as a tool, and law loses all its legitimacy. It's scary. That's propaganda 101. You're pulling away from, the structured norms.
I've seen them take it farther and they'd be like, like it may be lawfare, but more than anything now, it's warfare. And then you go and you go in the deep dives and shit like that. There's people out there that are calling for it big time right now. It's scary shit. They're like, saying they need to go out and kill Democrats, saying they need to, dox the jurors and find out who the jurors are and stuff like that. And it's just like, this is insane.
Yeah,
like
they're saying the daughter of the judge needs to be prosecuted.
Oh, why? Just because she said that she didn't support Trump?
She raises money for something anti-Israel. And, or no, I don't know. Somehow she's financially tied, but it's her own shit she's doing on her own time. And
I mean, it's just like,
they just found out that
like, I'm not voting for Hunter Biden, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want to vote for Joe Biden either, but literally until we have ranked choice voting, like, I'm sorry, I will never vote for Donald Trump. You shouldn't either. And you know what? I think the best thing that's going to come from this, I mean, first of all, we are seeing, there are very few instances of corrupt, old, white billionaires, or at least maybe at one point, like pieces of shit in this America actually being found guilty of something. Like this it's not full on precedence, but it is to a point. I mean, it is as far as a president goes, but I mean,
it's fantastic to see. Trump or no Trump, it's fantastic to see.
Exactly. Okay, good point. Trump or no Trump, it is fantastic to see. But damn it, I lost my fucking train of thought. Oh yeah, the whole ranked choice voting and Biden and Trump thing. Like until that changes, like I'm sorry, I'm just never going to vote for somebody like that. And I think the best we can hope for. I don't think there's necessarily going to be jail time. I know we all think he should go to jail for the rest of his life. And I mean, I certainly do. I think the best thing that could happen in this country is if he just had a heart attack and that'd be the end of it. But something tells me that dude's heart is like, I mean, I don't know. It just whatever. But what I think will happen now is confidence will, like I am a lot more confident that he is not going to win in November because he can still run despite being a felon. There's nothing in the Constitution that says he can't. But there were enough people on the fence for whatever reason who I think are going to be pushed to the other side as a result of this. Like they're not going to vote for a convicted felon. And the appeal process is not going to finish before the election.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
RFK as well. You see Trump got booed at the Libertarian.
Yeah.
Whatchamacallit. I feel like it's going to pull, the RFK running is going to pull this anti-vaxxer side. And the kooks, it's going to divide the kooks up, and that's his base.
Yeah, it's going to put And I thought it would be the opposite.
I did too at
I
first.
thought it would pull Biden votes away to RFK, but it's going to pull Trump votes away.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just, I'm highly confident that Trump is not going to win now. At the same time, I'm not going to let that, I'm not going to let, I'm not going to let it be like in 2016 where it's just, and I don't care about Hillary Clinton either. Again, it was just, I can't vote for, like, it's
Donald
I hate
Trump.
our choices though, man.
Let me ask
But it
you,
is,
go
exactly.
out and ask, if you're a Trump supporter right now, here's my question for you. What is his primary platform in the 2024 election? And you may be able to answer it. But I imagine, especially if you go out and ask the public, that they wouldn't be able to tell you that it is tax cuts for corporations. That's what he's looking forward to do, trickle down economics, which he tried during his presidency. And what the companies did was stock buybacks, which we've covered in previous casts. And just look up stock buybacks and how a company boosts their own stock by buying their own stock to pay back their dividend or pay dividends to their investors. It doesn't go to the company's well-being, better equipment, better safety precautions, nothing like that. But just better pay, maybe.
Yeah, or their employees.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So that's his primary platform, to do it again. The biggest tax cut for the rich is what he did in 2016. He'll do it again. And that's what you're fighting for. And that's what you're donating to. Your money you're making, you might as well donate it now because it's going to be taken and given to the rich to hopefully trickle down to its employees later.
Not to mention that, I mean, he put SCOTUS justices in place that killed abortion. Like, I don't, like, I hate to, it's just appealing to like all humanity. It's not just, I'm not phrasing it the right way, but any human being, if you're a diehard Trump supporter, like if you have a daughter, like if there are certain pockets of the country where like if she's raped, she has to have that child.
Yeah, 100%.
And it all, if you can trace it all back to Trump putting people in place in the Supreme Court. Maybe the idiot didn't know what he's doing. He probably didn't. I mean, it's more Mitch McConnell, that skeezy fucking turtle man. But like,
go ahead.
well, he did know what he's doing. I mean, he's like, I effectively killed Roe v. Wade. Like he's admitted that before, but I don't think at the time, I think he's just using it as a talking point now for whatever, to appeal to, I'm guessing, like the hardcore Christians that want to vote for him. But, I mean, just think about that. Think about a woman being raped and having to have that child. It's unbelievably maddening.
It is. And you know what? That's fucking lawfare.
Yeah, no shit.
Like what I was going to say was, he not only did this with the Supreme Court with Amy Coney Barrett, who is like, you remember when we make fun of Pence for calling his wife mother? Mm-hmm. Shit, she's part of that cult.
Yeah, sure.
Super religious. You don't put that on the Supreme Court. Separation of church and state. Yeah,
that's why she just looks like a robot, dude.
It's unreal. But there's and the majority of them. Clarence Thomas is paid off by that Nazi dude who's doing all the fucking yacht trips with him and everything. I don't even know.
Yeah, well, Leonard Leo has a lot to do. Is it Leo Leonard or Leonard, whatever that freaking... He's basically like a backdoor, like secret Republican donor that's been pulling strings for a long time.
I mean, I don't even know that. And I don't
Leonard
even, that
Leo.
could be more conspiracy. I'm not positive.
No, it's not. The dude, he's openly out there.
Okay.
Seriously.
I'd look it up.
We should look it up now. We should do a podcast on that guy. He's a piece of shit.
But either way, so not only did he stack the Supreme Court, and it was a goal of his, looked forward to it, but he boasted. You can find him in his speeches boasting about the amount of judges that he got on and put in place during his presidency, down to like state level. You know,
one of which is a sitting judge for the documents case.
Well, so like
he appointed her.
That's in my opinion, that's actual lawfare. That's manipulating the constructs of the law system. He's calling lawfare because he's being called out for doing something wrong, and he says it's bad timing. But real lawfare, I think, is stacking the cards in one, mindset and opinion, and that just distorts the way law is supposed to be. It's supposed to be unbiased.
But even in and of itself, any type of bias, certain people can stack it certain ways, but knowing that they have judges that are supposed to be impartial, knowing that there are judges that somehow aren't able to look at things in a neutral way is scary to me. I mean, with the Supreme, that's what happened with Clarence Thomas. I mean, these people, there are billionaires who have business before the Supreme Court who are, in Clarence Thomas's case, and Judge Alito, there's been a few who have taken them on lavish trips, spent tons of money on them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fluffing them up, if you like the porn terminology. Yeah. So that way, I mean, how do you think these people are going to vote? or these justices are going to vote when this business is before the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
I mean, it's blatantly obvious.
Yeah, and it's like, well, it's neither here nor there. It's like immunity cases.
Yeah.
It's so consequential on, I want unbiased opinions there. I don't want people that hate Trump in there either. I want equality, and that's not what the right want. They want to stack judges. They want to have the majorities so that they can get their type of rule. I don't know.
If this goes to the Supreme Court and appeals, I mean, they're most likely going to, they have the majority.
Oh, of course. If it gets there, then I, again, would be very surprised to see anything guilty against him.
Even the upside down flag thing with Trump, outside Alito's house, dude, I mean, this is, it shouldn't be happening. SCOTUS is not, so, this is why during every State of the Union, they don't clap, they don't do anything. They sit there. You know what I mean? Because it's like their hallmark. They are supposed to be 100% impartial. People look at them as okay, so a conservative president put a conservative justice in. That must have happened. Even though Merrick Garland, who was nominated by Obama, Merrick Garland's a Republican. You know what I mean? And Obama wanted to put him in there because he thought that he was an impartial man, which, again, Merrick Garland being the Attorney General now, people are just going after him left and right. And it's just dude, I have appointed special prosecutors. These are state cases. I can't, I'm the federal government. I can't, people don't understand how the system works, especially when it comes to a jury of your peers. That's why they go through the vetting process of the jurors. They were selected by the defense team as well, by Trump's team.
Yeah.
Trump, I guarantee you Trump had input, dude. I guarantee it.
They say the pool, because of being New York, there was no way to get an impartial juror.
Yeah.
Which I think is bullshit. I do. I think
tons of people love Trump in New York, man.
It's not like it's a sea of, that would be considered a utopia, okay? A sea of empathetic humans. No, there are Trump supporters out there that hate people. So, they're all throughout, and I'm sure they found that common ground. The people that don't follow politics didn't care. Just were yeah, show me the case. I'll tell you what I think about it, And it's pretty cut and dry. Like I said, he used nefarious means, fraudulent means to cover up a payment to a porn star to help his campaign. All these laws that he was found guilty for, that's all within their scope. And he could be found guilty for it. Now, in the history of these laws and these felonies, is jail time ever instituted? No. That if he were to go to jail, it would be because of his gag order violations, and even the things. One of his latest stump speeches, he was just bad mouthing the justice system and bad mouthing the judge, and I feel like he's goading him for a jail sentence to say that's injustice. When if he would have just said I await the judge's sentencing and I'm disappointed by the verdict and walked off the stage, he guaranteed if he got any kind of jail time, would be what? That's not fucking justified. But now it's you can't, even throughout the court case, he violated that gag order so many times. He got fines and all this shit, and he was bad mouthing the judge. And so to me, it feels like
that just speaks to who he is, though. That's exactly why he shouldn't be president.
No,
the man. The guy is a self-serving, arrogant prick. He's been spoon-fed his entire life. That's why the whole. It's. Again, if Republicans, if they ever take back, if they ever have the trifecta, well, not even the they could get the trifecta if they have both houses of Congress and the presidency ever again, which I just don't know if that's happening, because Trump has literally destroyed if you're a Republican, if you're a sensible Republican, and I will say there are some of them out there, especially the ones that are just more conservative about spending money in the economy and what things are budgeted for. I'm sure we're not going to agree on it because there's a lot of government waste, but regardless, there are Republicans out there that are more sensible. My stepdad, for instance, he might still be registered a Republican, I'm not sure, but he's, he never voted for Trump, never would have. He's voted Democrat several times, but when it comes to the economy, he's a little more conservative and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which mainly used to be the Republican Party. Generally you would have lower taxes, but then Reagan, regardless.
Yeah.
If they ever get the trifecta or even control Congress and they want to do all these investigations on the Democrats, which they're saying they want to do, that's their whole lawfare thing, you know what I mean? They're just going to investigate everybody. The difference is Trump is kind of a rarity. The man is he just digs himself a deeper hole because he's an arrogant moron. Like, if you're really going to start diving into Democrats and stuff, you're probably not going to find anything because they're going to be smart enough, and I don't mean Democrats, but just anybody that really isn't Trump, because they're going to be smart enough to not do dumb shit like this. I mean, again, like, he was found guilty of this because he's the first one that did it and got caught, and maybe he wouldn't have got caught if he wasn't so blatantly fucking stupid all the time. I mean, the guy incriminates himself left and fucking right all the time, even in the documents case too.
Yeah, the stuff
he incriminates himself because he's that arrogant, and he thinks, and this is the key term here, that he is above the law, and no one is. And we have proved that now, that even a president is not above the law for the things that they do that are illegal. And again, if you want to go after anybody else for Obama droning the shit out of people, you know, for fucking Biden had a drone strike that killed 12 innocent people like the first month of his presidency. I've mentioned that several times on here.
Yeah, pulling out of Afghanistan was a total clusterfuck.
Yeah, I mean, like Clinton, even the stuff that Clinton did trying to cover up the Monica Lewinsky thing, I think there was a little bit of, you know, intimidation going on there, some sort. I mean, like, whatever. I don't give a fuck, man. Yeah. Like, these people, I mean, we're supposed to be the shining light of the world, man. We're just a military offensive beast that's driven by capitalism and greed and
hate.
Yeah, it's fucking terrible. And Trump, like, sort of emulates, like, the worst of that. To me, he is what, you know, America going unchecked even more than it already does, like, being completely let loose. Yeah. You know what I mean? He emulates the worst of that. Like, my God. Like, if there was an American dictator with the military behind them, I mean, the world would fucking burn.
Yeah.
More than it already is. It'd be destroyed. And that's not the type of person. If we're supposed to be the shining light on the hill, the greatest country in the world, that is not the man that you want representing us, for fuck's sake.
The dichotomy of where we're at in, like, societal change and technological change is so drastic. It's unbelievable. We are on the cusp of a new dawn in reality, and yet at the same time, we can't get past toddlerism, you know? Like, it's just weird.
I know.
It's so
threatening
weird.
to not legislate at all because you're that much of a freaking baby.
Yeah.
Like, threatening to not do your job that you were voted in for. You know, any of us would be fired if we were like, we're just not going to do our job. I mean,
it doesn't make any sense. And that it's stood for, that we just defend it because of our division, is so fucking frustrating. Starting a new job and it being like a place where I would be outnumbered politically as a liberal, you know. I have no fear of speaking to these people because I understand, just to bring up in the conversation immediately, like, that we both agree that the government's trying to divide us. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, now from there we can talk about things, but understand, like, if you start getting heated, we're done, because I don't have a point getting heated. You have your opinions, I have mine. We should talk, and maybe we'll sway each other a little bit. But we don't need to insult each other, because that's the division. That's where you start to hate each other, and just, like, you see a liberal and you think, like, it's a fucking liberal, I know it. Yeah. That's a fucking conservative, I know it. Like, who gives a shit? That doesn't matter, you know?
Is me calling someone immoral, is that a dig? Because, I mean, literally, if you look at, like, the Republican Party today, if you look at MAGA, and if you're supportive of that, I mean, literally, that means, like, you don't respect the rights of trans people. We don't respect the rights of immigrants.
And
like,
it's immoral,
that's so. But then, like, I feel like even just saying that word, I mean, and I've said worse, and, like, I regret that. I don't want to call anybody a freaking moron, because,
no,
I mean, you know,
it's reading your audience.
Yeah.
Essentially, if you and I are talking, that to me is fine. I do believe it's an immoral thought process.
Yeah.
I do think that it's a lesser nuanced intelligence to be able to see a bigger picture. So you
can see how any, like, but if you say you're a lesser nuanced intelligence, like, then, like, if you were to say that to somebody in conversation, like, that would strike a nerve, though.
Yeah, I would never do that.
But
to
it is,
the
like,
person I'm speaking to.
Yeah,
and they feel the same way about me, though.
Yeah. They feel like you're just as dumb if you...
They can't think that articulate, but they think the same way about me, and that's fine, because we're not on the same level, and that's where the division lies. But to put those things aside, you know what I mean? Like, and in the conversation, just talk about the topics and try and stay on them.
I really wish people, like, something we can all come together on. I've been saying this for the longest time, and we've said it, like, every cast we mention it, is the fact that, like, whether you're Republican or Democrat, you know, if you're middle class, if you're lower class, and you're struggling to survive or feed yourself and stuff, there's only one thing to blame, and that is unfettered and unchecked capitalism
100%.
that has rooted its way into our legislative bodies. We are on the same team,
100%.
regardless of whether you're conservative or Democrat or a liberal, in regards to capitalism controlling everything in this country. When you really think about it,
Yeah.
through the misinformation that you hear, somebody's getting paid off that, lots of freaking money. You know what I mean?
We want to be able to support our families well and have our opinions strong. That's all we want.
Isn't that what anybody wants? You know what I mean?
And we can do that as a society. We can. But they don't let us. Because the fear-mongering, the propaganda creates these division lines, and then it's just we don't even fight for the things we should be fighting for. We fight about things we can't change. The presidency, the best we could do is vote. All the arguments between now and then mean nothing. When we could be talking about equal pay, you know what I mean? And unions, whether or not you like them, discussing them and where they are positives and where there are negatives, and arguing that.
I want to take it beyond that. Like I was mentioning so much waste. I mean, why not just the idea of absolving anyone's financial woes or pains or anxieties? You know what I mean? Like to the point where it's just like, the phrase cost of living, you know what I mean? Cost of living adjustment and stuff like that. It's just like, what do you mean living? Like I'm living right now. I have to pay money to live. Yes, you do. And that doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not advocating for being lazy and not doing anything, not contributing, but literally if you go to work every single day, okay, if you work your 8-hour shift, you know what I mean? I think jobs could be more enjoyable here and there and less stressful, sure. But you should not have to worry about how you're going to feed your kids, how you're going to pay your bills. Like none of that shit should ever happen. If you contribute to society to keep things moving so everyone can enjoy the same comforts that you enjoy, having a roof over your head, having food, you know what I mean? Having your own space. Like what is so hard to grasp about that? And it drives me nuts. And that is, I don't know. I can't believe. It's the same kind of
mindset that looks at abolishing, student debts. It's somebody that has struggled through whatever they had to do or lack thereof to pay off their student debts, but they did it, that they accomplished something. It's an accomplishment. It's a feather in their cap to then just say that in their mind, the lazy or the one that couldn't figure it out when it's stacked against them is to give them the gift of it's gone, disappears. It's like, well, why wouldn't I get that? Shouldn't I get mine back then?
Yeah.
And instead of just being like, no, unfortunately, it didn't happen when you were in need, but it is happening when they're in need, and you should support that because it doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
And then they'd be like, well, the taxes will go up here and there. And that's, to me, is a non-starter because all of our taxes go to our military. It's all it fucking goes to.
That's what I'm talking about too. And again, and how much of that money, I think there was Biden just in the military budget, he did increase, I think it was pay for active military and reserve. So they're making at least more money now. But how much of that huge freaking war chest, and we're talking like almost, what was it, like 693 billion or some shit like that?
You can add up
for however many.
You can add up the 9 behind us, the 9 countries behind us, China, Russia, all included, and it doesn't equal the amount we do. We are number one by any bar graph. Yeah. It needs to be extended for us because we spend so much money on
and a lot of that money, is going to Lockheed Martin, going to Boeing, going to Raytheon, going to companies that literally manufacture things that kill people.
Yeah,
maybe some that fly them around. But again,
they don't spend as much money on the stuff that flies us around.
Weapon systems, it's crazy, and people make oodles and oodles of money for those types of things, but we can't pay people who are freaking standing in front of a hot stove all day enough money that they can pay their bills. Like,
that's it. It's not like you're giving the McDonald's employee, that they're going to be able to afford new vehicles. Just by giving this, like they'll be able to afford used vehicles and be able to get to and from work maybe because they work and they should be able to afford transportation. And in order to afford transportation right now, $7.50 an hour doesn't get there, especially with the price of groceries. So things need to change just to get us back on a level playing field where the mid-level employee, like you said, 40 hours a week can at least survive, and 2 40-hour-a-week jobs can properly provide for possibly children and beyond. But go back a few years when our parents, you didn't even have to have, and even before that, you only had that single family income. And then it became too almost because of hobby-esque, like a lot of moms went out and got teachers or just the significant other. I don't know why you have to say mom so much, but there were a lot of teachers, that kind of thing. And
we're still a patriarchal society, and we were even more so back then.
I like to try and deny that that's there in the best ways.
No, it very much is. I'm still waiting for a woman president.
Oh, we're going to have a dead Biden for that. Oh, an unalive Biden. Nah. I don't know how you do it on YouTube. Fuck it.
Oh, it doesn't.
But either way, you get what I'm saying. It's, I hope you get what I'm saying because I forgot what I was saying.
Basically, again, about how capitalism, I mean, it just, in a country where there are billionaires, I just don't understand how anybody should struggle. I don't understand how we have 500,000 homeless people in this country.
Yeah.
That shouldn't happen.
What's the argument? Where have you heard a positive argument against universal health care or daycare?
Yeah.
Healthcare is a debate. And I feel like it's just because it's in that same bubble that people don't even pay attention to it when it's like universal daycare would change everything. It would allow people to get jobs and go work and further their careers as best they can so they don't have to work at McDonald's for too long. But instead...
and they don't have to pay $20,000 a year for daycare.
Yeah. That's like an unbelievable... Everyone hurts there.
Huge amount of money.
So you got to take somebody to babysit, whether it's their... the parents in a lot of cases will step up so that it's not every single day. When it's like, what if you could just take your kid every day and put it in a very safe environment that it could flourish while you went and did whatever job you had to do, whether it be shitty warehouse work, to a fast food restaurant, to bettering yourself at a school.
Dude, we can't have a well-educated constituency.
I know. And
you got to have dumb people in this country in order for it to remain the way it is.
That's the crux of our division. That's where, I hate to badmouth Trump so hard because I feel... Go ahead.
Something about, what did you say? Unnuanced, whatever, about intelligence.
Oh, yeah. What about it?
Whatever, that's the terminology.
Lesser
I should have used it. Yeah, lesser nuanced intelligence. There you go. Like, again, people, there are Republicans who struggle as well, financially, you know what I mean? Like, my question, and I've stated this so many times, like, would people be as angry at their neighbor or as angry at, some politician or whatever if, like, they just had enough money that they didn't have to worry about paying bills? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that would just makes everybody just so much happy. Like, if I didn't have to worry about money, fuck, man, it'd be awesome. And I don't mean to the point where I can buy yachts and shit, but just to know that, like,
just comfortable that a disaster isn't imminent.
And that's what weighs down on you in this society. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. We're all just an accident away from bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
A roof cave in, a horrible flooding, pipe burst, to actual bodily injury or vehicle accident. Anything that's going to hit the account over $10,000 in most people's cases.
Yeah.
Right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
It used to be, what are you supposed to have, like 6 years or 3 years salary in savings?
In savings, yeah, probably back in the day. I think now they're saying it's 6 months to a year.
Yeah, and people don't even have that.
Mm-mm.
So, like,
my wife and I don't have that. Hell no. I have maybe, like, in my investments, like my retirement account, I probably have over a year's worth of my own bills, like my side of the bills, but not my wife's. My wife probably does.
But that's beside,
my wife worked her ass off to get where she is.
Accounts. They're talking about,
I know,
like,
sure.
That's what you're supposed to have, a retirement account, and then you have your savings, which is this amount. People don't have savings. People are, if they do, it's limited, and then I'd
be interested to see, like, recently in the past few years, probably since COVID, how many hardship withdrawals were taken.
Yeah,
I'd be very interested to see that, because I know a lot of people have had to dip in their. I did dip into my 401k before I lost my job last year. It was like a few months before that, like probably around this time. So I think I found out in September that we were closing, and sometime in the summer I was like, Meg and I bleep that out. I probably said my wife's name before, but whatever. We needed money. You know what I mean? Our savings was rapidly depleting after we got the new house. Like, all the money we made from selling the other one was gone within a year. Like, within a year, we made like over 20 grand. I'm not going to give you the exact number, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I had to take a hardship withdrawal from my 401k. Freaking paid 10% on what I took out. That sucked.
Everyone is hurting on all, and it does nothing to do with your political affiliation. It's just the inflation, the shrinkflation, you know.
Oh, but the inflation's Biden's fault. It's corporate greed, man.
Yeah.
Like, that is the majority of it. The stimulus from both presidents, yes, both presidents gave out stimuluses during COVID, Trump and Biden. Okay, yeah, sure. You give people a bunch of free money, that's going to drive up the price of goods. But then when you really think about it, I mean, companies see that. People have more money in their pockets. Well, raise our prices.
It's public knowledge to be able to look at these corporations' financial sheets. We're allowed to do that. And so you can see that they're making
record profits.
And, you know, this isn't just they're profitable. The word record is right there. Record profits. That is not something that you raise your prices for. You raise your prices when you can't make your ends meet. You don't just look around at everyone else and say, you know, especially this is just economy, you know, when how many corporations actually own all the products, you know, it's a handful. It's under 30. You know, they make the decisions on how to price things out. And instead of making it just equal again, I don't care. Make some money. I'm fine with that. But the just unfettered greed is what's insanity. And then we use our division to blame the feature head on a stick. Just that it's Biden right now. It'll be Trump when it's Trump and whatever. But it'll always be there because these corporations are making billions and billions of dollars, record profits. I would like to see like how they're barely skating by and maybe bankruptcies in their future. We got to pay more for that. I do enjoy all their products. I would like to pay more so that they can survive.
I would certainly, I'd be happier with, again, price rising, you know, basically putting on the consumer rather than them cutting the people that work for them, cutting labor, you know, because that generally is the first thing that these corporations will do. If they're not making record profits, they fire people.
Yeah.
And that is just not, I mean, I don't know how much overhead, a lot of them probably have tons of overhead though. Like, I don't know what their operating costs are, but at the same time, there is something to be said that if you have to fire that many people, I don't mean like huge, I'm not talking like Tesla, you know what I mean? But some business, like certain businesses, like, I don't know, maybe West Shore Home might be an example, or like the biggest one I can think of around here. Like, they're probably a decent amount to run that business, but then again, whatever. Anyways,
it might be a decent amount to run that business, but the amount of money they're making on the other side isn't there. There is, you know, you got to pay the installers, you got to pay this and that, but their turnaround is ridiculous. So they just funnel employees in, train them, and get them out just to get the job done. And then the guy's buying multi-million-dollar jets, and you know, his car collection is absurd.
Yeah,
that's not showing any kind of like, oh, he's struggling scenario. You know what I mean? Like, even if he got to the point of being able to buy a jet, maybe a second jet over years of a company, I'd still be like, that kind of sucks. He probably fucks some people over to get that, but it'd be like, that's justified. But the level that he does, the one guy that runs West Shore Home, and knowing what it costs to do, you know, what they do as a craft and what they actually charge, it's obscene. Yeah. And they prey on emergencies and, you know, the non-due diligence of the uneducated to think that, oh, that must be the cost of doing a bathroom.
Yeah.
You know, and then they just clean up and take all that money and give it to themselves.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
What are you going to do?
Welcome to American capitalism.
That's the truth. But this is where our anger should lie. And this is one of the things we should be talking about.
Yeah, I mean, this is the common ground. But again, it's that idolatry, man. I don't know how Trump is able to do it, but damn, dude, he has some sway over a large group of people in this country, which I think is somewhat diminished when it comes to voting in November. I'm very hopeful of that. I do worry about political violence as a result if he loses again. I am confident. I'm 100% confident something's going to happen somewhere in this country, whether it's some lone wolf lunatic or like whatever. But
yeah. I don't think it's going to be anything large scale. I think it's going to be just so annoying to see it again.
Yeah,
and it's
sure.
All the, you know, it's just false. Like, you can't try a candidate in the middle of their candidacy. Of course they're going to lose. It's like, okay, so if they do crimes, then you just don't try them until you decide whether or not they're president. So if they win presidency, then you can go, all right, now you can try them. Fuck you, man. It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's backwards. The hypocrisy, and I've said this many times as well, is astounding.
Yeah.
I don't, the party of law and order now won't even go to work to write law.
The party of law and
Or
order are
pass
the
law.
ones that coined the phrase lawfare.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's like this. That's another thing that drives me nuts about the insurrection. Like there were back the blue flags in that crowd as they're assaulting police officers. Like I just don't. It's fucking mind blowing.
It is.
You know what I mean? It makes me feel stupid.
I
Just
mean,
seeing it, you're just like, am I getting dumber? Am I seeing this? Is this really? Is this happening? Reality?
that's a collection of your peers. You know what I mean? By definition. It's and to think that like, wow, I don't even know where to begin with all that. Well, that filled the time.
I know we didn't do. Yeah, we didn't go a lot of places with this cast, kind of helter skelter, which pretty much every other one is at this point, anyways.
Yeah.
If you're listening, but hey, I feel like only having the third one this year. At least we're not bombarding people every week with like
chaos.
Well, it was organized. I mean, we had our points. We had a good discussion of Civil War. If you haven't seen it yet,
yeah.
But again, it all goes back to capitalism. What a freaking surprise! But seriously, I mean, like I just wish people would get over Donald Trump, man. The guy's just.
Oh well.
I mean, come on.
And at the same time, I talked about it earlier with the dichotomy of technological advancements and societal advancements where we're at, and just to know that like. What's happening with AI and where we're going to be in a very short amount of time is that AlphaFold is something you can look up. AlphaFold is a way to like get down to chromosomes and map actual proteins. And that it takes in the history, maybe a year or two ago, it would take about 4 years, somebody's PhD career to map one protein, and there's 2 billion of these. They did 200,000 last year. With just AI, and that's 200,000 PhDs. It's an insane. Well, we're gonna have the human genome completely mapped in a very short amount of time, while Harvard professors think they have understood how to reverse aging in mice using artificial intelligence, thus changing the why our chromosomes deteriorate. They're starting to understand why and be able to stop it and reverse it. So, like... Yeah,
I mean, everybody needs to die, I think. But I think the point that you're really getting at is I think this can really help with, like, certain diseases where people suffer. I mean, sickle cell anemia is one of the bigger ones.
Of course. But I'm
and
going
again,
farther,
it's
like,
yeah, I mean, I don't...
That's
I certainly don't want to live forever, but
we won't
I'm getting age spots. It's weird, man. I mean, I'll be 40 in, like, 6 months.
You got liver spots? Fuck off.
Oh, dude, I do, man.
No way.
Right there.
That's a liver spot?
That's a big one. It's an age spot. Yeah, especially on my right arm. It's weird. I got one up here on my head.
Get the fuck out of here.
Can you see that? No, probably not. But anyway.
Well, we'll reverse that shit, so you'll be good.
I don't know. Whatever. I would like to die someday. I certainly don't want to live forever.
Well, and the last
unless it's to see my kids do more cool stuff.
There you go. Yeah. And their kids' and their kids' But either way.
My grandkids?
Yeah. But and then the last AI thing that because there was a few things I wanted to cover, but real fast is just dating, and that we talked about we had an AI cast a few back, and that like ChatGPT is a specified GPT for chat, so you could build your own like essential Chat GPT in your own computer and talk back and forth with it, and it would be able to mimic and model who you are and your preferences and everything, so that it would be a full-on representation of yourself. That's called a personal concierge, an AI concierge. It's you in AI form. That you can do now. Now, if enough people do that, then you can send your AI concierge on dates with other AI concierges to see compatibility rates. So you could be like, you know what? I am looking for someone new. And just send your AI concierge into the Harrisburg database cloud of whatever concierge is, and it'll come back with like, you should probably meet these 3 people.
And you only get together to have sex, and you just let your concierge go at it after that.
If that's what you wanted, But that would be, it's just...
Of course, if it collects your whole personality, if you're a real like aggressive person, and you're going to get into fights, they're going to like fight each other and stuff. Yeah. You are an asshole. I don't know. I mean, I just, robots, AI, whatever.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's just typing.
Well, the concierge is literally an AI thing. So if for our concierges to meet is a nanosecond.
I don't. like, I don't think I would want somebody who would put that little amount of effort into like going on a date with me instead of just like, you know,
You don't
physically
think you wanna
going on a date with me.
Like, it's gonna weed out the problems. All
Is this just to like find somebody that you want to be with? Like, you know, like a like instead of freaking Plenty of Fish or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah,
like
those were using like algorithms in the same way this would, but this would take more than just their shitty 100-question questionnaire and compare it with another 100-question questionnaire. This is
so
like,
it's just to match people.
it would give you like options, you know. I'm just showing the way that your future, your concierge is literally going to be a like mirror of yourself. It'll be able to do that. It doesn't just take your answers and file them. It takes your answers and uses highly nuanced, you know, information and intelligence to be able to compile it all so that it would respond to things the way you would respond to things.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Well, yeah, I mean, essentially it is, but it's
that's
also
the side of
efficient.
AI that scares me.
It cuts all the time out of all the stupid dates that people aren't even going to show up to. I didn't have to because it almost seems enjoyable because I never had to do it.
Yeah,
was
I didn't
online
either.
dating.
Yeah, I never did it either.
It was coming up when I was out and about, but in my world, I just happened to meet in public places the people I was interested in. And so it never crossed my plate. I don't look down on anybody that does it.
Yeah,
I honestly was kind of like, I wonder how that would have worked.
I know a
love
few friends
algorithms.
that got married doing it.
Yeah. So I think it got really corrupted and toxic, but that's
like the catfishing and stuff.
Yeah.
That's so fucked up.
I know. I've seen that happen in person, and that's the worst.
Oh.
But either way, to me, it feels like a very streamlined process where you're not wasting your time with dates, possibly relationships that weren't ever going to go anywhere, and we're literally going to take up what could be some of the best years of your life with someone that you would definitely be getting along with, you know. And it's not like, here's your match, you know. They have a Black Mirror for that, or I've seen a short where it was that, and they had, I think it was a show where like you could figure out who your perfect match was. And so, you know, being married,
like blind love or whatever.
Yeah.
My wife watches that. You're basically, you're behind, you don't see the person.
No. I know that one. That one's really good though too.
I don't.
It's for reality TV. Whatever.
I've been watching Daniel Tosh's reality show. That shit's hilarious, dude. The goat.
But no, it's like it's a fictitious show where you could literally like give your blood and they'll tell you who your perfect match is that's alive today at your age. And so, do you want to find that out, or are you happy in the life you've made? And then like, so the you know, one couple's like, we would never, we're so happy, of course not. And then the woman goes and gets it done just to see, and
it's somebody else.
Like, it's somebody else. And so she sees him at a coffee shop and is like imagining what it could be, and it starts to disrupt their relationship. Yeah, but it's an interesting concept, you know.
Bigger penis.
If that's what she's into. So either way, I love the way AI is going. I think it's insane. I'm now in the like
I'm still scared.
car market in what I'm doing, and we estimate damage on vehicles. And the program that this company just this week instituted their first time is an AI program that does like a topographic map of the damage of the car, then compares it to all the other photos of the similar type of damage, and then can estimate the amount of parts that would be disrupted going deeper into the car, because they can just pull it apart into pieces in seconds and estimate amount of time the techs would have to use. So the person that is an estimator, if you're an estimator at a collision place, like your job is very much in jeopardy right now. In the next 2 to 3 years, it's going to be, you might just go around the car with your phone and then be done. So very interesting.
I worry about accounting positions too. A lot of office stuff is going to,
if you don't deal with humans, like for the integral interactions, you know, like going out to the car and talking to the human, that's just part of the job. But that's not it in the way like you would have to do. You have to call vendors. You have to make decisions in that regard using the other humans, you know, interpretations of the situation. Those are going to be hard to take over until generative AI comes out.
Yeah.
But if you are behind the scenes with invoices and numbers and you don't deal with humans, then yeah, your job is probably going to be gone in no time. More than likely they have the capability to do it right now. It's just not mass produced. It's crazy.
That's scary.
Yeah. But whatever. There'll be more jobs available when that takes off. So it's not going to be as scary as you think.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think that'll do it.
All right. Well, this has only been episode 3, so sorry. It's
welcome.
June already.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Our time is precious.
That's right.
Our time here at
Slayers of Boredom Podcast.
I missed it.
I should have mixed that better. See you.
In what way?